May I have a roll call, please?
Director Meggs,
Here.
Director Kelly,
Here.
Director Silla,
Here.
Director Gaffney,
Here.
Director Borstein.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Thank you.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I realized I didn't have my mic on there for the first few items. All right. Approval of the agenda. Does anyone have anything we need to move around on the agenda this evening? Great. All right. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you.
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 3, public comment. Any public comment this evening? Anybody wishing to address the board? Anybody online? Christina? Wow, that seems loud to me. Nope. Okay. Seeing none, moving on. Item number 4, committee and representative report out. Finance committee. Tom, would you like to tell us about the
Yes, I would.
finance?
The finance committee reviewed the April 25 financial reports. Were in good financial condition. We also went through the final budget, and we had reviewed it once before, and it's a fine effort by our part. We looked at 2 items that are going to come up before the board. The hiring our general manager for the Kentfield projects, the general contractor for the Kentfield projects, and the construction management firm. And then we discussed the salary and benefit schedule for unrepresented employees.
Thank you. Business plan committee?
Yeah. So we did 2 things, and it's on the agenda, so I'll just be very brief. We went over the fiscal 24-25 business plan before we went over the 25-26 business plan. And we had some highlighted notes. I've got them all here in front of me, and I can bring them up when we take this on the agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I was there too. It was a very good meeting, I thought.
Yeah.
Also, we highlighted new things that are been now brought up for the business plan. And we can bring that up too when we get closer to the agenda. And the things we have accomplished, including awards, and the things that are projected for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. North Bay Watershed Association.
Here, I'm going to pass this down. This was the agenda. We had a guest speaker, Jacqueline Martinez, who talked about climate adaptation and also a new state law, SB 272, which Michael gave me some information about. So it mandates that local governments in the coastal zone and San Francisco Bay Area develop sea level rise adaptation plans by 2030. This includes plans for the San Francisco Bay and along its shoreline. The bill also requires local governments to submit these plans to either California Coastal Commission or the San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Commission, BCDC, for consistency with state guidelines. And I guess it wouldn't impact us, or it might.
That's my understanding.
Okay. And let's see. So basically, she talked mostly about this new state law and talking about local plans, et cetera. And they're going to start launching this program this summer. We also talked about, we had a tour. And this was at the North Marin Water District facility. Pablo Raimondo, who is the water quality supervisor, took us on a fabulous tour. We got to ask any question we wanted about water quality. It was really cool. It was really, I think I drove him
Nothing is off
crazy.
limits.
I probably drove him crazy, but got to ask about lead and bleach and just all kinds of stuff. So that was fabulous. And we are going to have in the near future a scholarship meeting. We had 15 applicants. And so we're going to start talking about how to divvy up the money. That's it.
Thank you. All right, Central Marin Sanitation Agency?
Sure. It is a very brief meeting.
Microphone.
Yeah, it's on. I have to talk into it also.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the big one there was they are pre-ordering. They're going to replace the bridge crane systems for the treatment plant, but they're going up in price all the time, and there's a big lead time on them. So they know exactly what they want, so they're going to pre-purchase, so that when the project actually starts, the equipment will be there, and this company that they hire to provide the equipment will be there to help to install it and make sure it's done correctly, so that everything gets done on time. It won't be done before the wet weather season, so it'll probably begin March, April of next year. They went over the business plan. Pretty straightforward. They're doing it, like ours. Everything is getting done. And a while back, because of the inflation reduction plan, they got a $2 million rebate for doing the recycled water plant to put in a different kind of access to it. And that was done a while ago, but last week they actually got a $2 million check. And that was interesting to see a $2 million check. They don't put commas in it from the government. So you have to actually count all the digits to make sure, but it's a whole lot of digits. So that was good to see.
Thank you. Anything else?
I wasn't there.
Well, there was
and,
the thing I wanted to add about that crane is that there was a 6-month lead time. And so we ordered it. It would have delayed the project by 6 months. In addition, probably saved money.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Well, I had another comment on the business plan. At the finance committee, we talked about after I mentioned, one thing we should put on the business plan is trying to adopt AI wherever it's feasible and wherever it'll result in efficiencies. And then the other one is, I think we can refund the Canyon Road assessment bond 6 months early. So put that on the business plan.
Right.
If we can do it.
Legally. All right. Thank you. Item number 5, verbal report by general manager.
Well, we need to, no, sorry.
Okay.
That's the other.
Thank you, President Silla and board members. For this month's verbal GM report, I've got 4 items to brief you on. First, some good news this year. RVSD is the winner of the CSDA, California Special Districts Association, Exceptional Public Outreach and Advocacy Award for small district category. And this is for our Trash It, Don't Flush It, RVSD's outreach to prevent latex glove pollution. And so we were invited to the annual CSDA conference on Wednesday, August 27th to receive this award.
Where's that?
In Monterey. And that's on Wednesday, August 27th.
Awesome.
Number 2, last month I told you that RVSD won the District Transparency Certificate of Excellence, and it's out on.
Yeah, I saw that out there.
Out in the welcome area of the board meeting room here. And this positions the district to be able to qualify to receive the prestigious District of Distinction certificate from the Special District Leadership Foundation. So our board clerk, Christina Winicky, did some research and confirmed there are over 3,400 special districts in California, 3,400. There are 2,300 independent special districts in California, of which we are one. And out of these 2,300, there are currently 47 recipients of the District of Distinction.
Wow.
Of those 47, none are in Marin County, and 5 are wastewater or sanitation agencies. So it would be quite an accomplishment for our district to receive this District of Distinction certificate. To do this, it requires the board members and the general manager have to take governance training.
You have to take what?
Governance training.
Okay.
And so let's see, the business plan committee approved the inclusion of applying to be a district of distinction in this year's proposed business plan, which you will hear later today, and on today's board agenda. And I was just going to let you know that Christina Winnicky is going to follow up with an email with a menu, a table of training opportunities this fall. They're both online and in person, and she'll email that out Friday, I think.
Where are the
right?
in-person ones?
So we can plan to complete these trainings this year to be able to qualify for the certificate. So it'd be this fall. And there are, I just want to point out that there's extra benefits to doing the training in person, including receiving a personal governance certificate for you personally as board members.
Director Kelly asked where are the trainings. He wants to know if it's Monterey.
It's going to be in the email that Christina
Okay.
Winnicky sends. I mean, I think it's Reading and Seaside, but we want to do confirm.
More
Seaside
than
sounds better than Reading, yeah.
Reading.
Sorry, Reading. Maybe
But they're at specific times,
Okay.
so it won't be, August in Reading, for instance. It'll be October or November. It's a different place. So at any rate, I just wanted to fill you in on some of those details. The third item, I brought some handouts. You can feel free to take one here. I'll give one to Alicia. This is on the interpretive sign discussion over at Kentfield Pump Station. We received quotes for design and construction of this interpretive sign in a bike repair station. And so this is some of the information that Christina Velasquez, our management analyst, put together. The budget would need to be between $13,000 and $18,000, which is within this year's planned outreach budget. However, there is a committee of the board that's discussing the details. The area where we might place the sign and the bike repair station is within a pending construction zone for the tidal wetlands restoration on Corte Madera Creek.
Mhm.
It may make sense to wait on sign installation until that project is built, and we could benefit from working with that project because they will have interpretive signs too, right?
Mhm.
But I just imagine, heavy earth moving equipment moving around in proximity to this interpretive sign and bike repair station. And also that area near Kentfield Pump Station is unimproved. The bare earth is not amenable to pedestrian traffic without improvements. And you can see with this illustration, the bike repair station, you want to have a concrete pad or something solid that you've placed it on. So right now it's an unimproved area. It's very mulchy and spongy, so it's not a straightforward, put the sign there, it makes sense. I think we need to design something there. And since there's going to be major construction in the area, there might be opportunities, economies of scale, working with, the contractors of that tidal wetland restoration.
Mhm.
Because like I said, they'll have an interpretive sign too. And so anyway, we'll talk more into the details in the committee, and we'll get more information on the schedule of that project.
Right. That's
So,
what I was going to ask. We don't have any idea how long that's going to take, do we?
yeah, well, that's been a moving target, as you're aware. You're a neighbor.
Yeah.
And they would have said it was going to be built in 2021. They've been working on it for a long time. So, but I understand things are falling into place. I'm not sure, Phil, if you've heard from the flood control district lately. We haven't heard from them for a bit, or Friends of Corte Madera Creek. We're going to reach out to them though, and we'll get information for the committee and come up with this. Here's budget information and scope. Now we need to get the schedule information together, and the site improvement scope.
Yeah,
needs to
and
be
I think
figured out.
It makes definitely we should wait for that work because we want it to fit in with that work rather than be different or an impediment or look like we got on our little horse and decided we were going to do it all by ourselves. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I appreciate that openness to being adaptive on the schedule, and we'll give you updates. We'll have the committee convene when we have more information. Then lastly, I wanted to report that on, I think it was June 4th, we held the second annual business breakfast with the plumbers and contractors here in this room. Phil Benedetti, our senior engineer, did a great job of discussing proposed changes to our standard specifications, drawings, and approved materials. Now, what was different about this meeting, though, is we invited all the sanitary districts in Marin County to join us, and we had several join us. We had, I know, Fernanda of SD2, Phil Buckley of San Rafael Sanitation, and Kevin Rahman of Sausalito Marin City was here. I think Mark Wilson of SASM was here. And Greg Pease of Las Colinas was here.
That's
So
great.
we had, that may not be everyone. I'm just going from memory on that, but that was really productive. We had a good back and forth on the standard changes we're proposing, the basis for them, and then some brainstorming about how we can align our ordinances and standards between the districts. So that discussion has gotten underway, and we're going to host a meeting of the sanitary district collection systems here on September 9th, I believe.
Who's going to be here on September 9th?
We're going to host this group of sanitary district collection systems, which is those people I just told you who attended that business breakfast meeting.
Great.
So we're continuing those meetings to create more consistency with our standards and our ordinances. And that's it.
That's great. Thank you. I'm glad we're leading collaborative work like that. Not that that's new. Any questions or comments by the board members on that? Thank you.
I think that's great because over the years, I've heard that from plumbing friends of mine that they go from one district to another and it's a whole different set of rules and regulations, and it made it difficult for them.
Yeah. All right, verbal report by board members and requests for future items. Any?
Yeah, I would like a
requests?
future item on the committee and representative report outs. I'd like to see the subcommittee of the San Rafael CMSA planning
Ad hoc.
ad hoc should be reporting out.
Probably should. We didn't have a meeting, for a while.
Okay.
And we're going to meet on I think it's a week from tomorrow.
They always do it after our meeting.
Let's do it after our meeting. And it got postponed because our last one got postponed because of all the comments from the attorneys, and their attorney couldn't get a draft completed. So supposedly we're going to get a draft the next meeting, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's key.
Thank you. So let's add that from now on to the list of committees to report out. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Mhm.
I'd like to comment that our general manager has done a really sophisticated review of the way we're being charged by CMSA, and it's just a huge amount of work that he's undertaken, mainly because we've questioned, gee, we're doing all this work and our flow rate is going down, and yet it doesn't seem like our bill is going down. So I think maybe in the near future, we'll hear a report from the general manager on exactly how it's going, but
Excellent.
quite a bit of work, quite an extensive amount of research and written material.
Aren't we doing the new flow meters soon?
Pardon me?
Well, the San Rafael had a new flow meter installed over at CMSA, and I thought they were doing SD2 and ours new as well. Isn't that right? Yeah. So that should help too.
Yeah, we'll have our data.
As long as they use proper techniques for testing.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Steve, for that work. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Item number 7, consent calendar. Does anyone have anything they'd like to pull from consent?
Nope.
Okay. I'll
Move to approve the consent.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 8, consideration of adopting resolution 1669, adopting the mitigated negative declaration for the Palm Man Cypress Gravity Sewer Improvements Project.
First of three.
The first of three.
Three on the items on the same.
Yes,
topic.
yes, not three mitigated negative declarations though.
And right, yes. Thank you. This is the first in the sequence we do when we do a new capital project. We'll do, the environmental clearance first and then award the contract and then award a contract to a construction manager if applicable. So we have senior engineer Phil Benedetti here to introduce this item.
This is for the Palm Man Cypress. All three of the items that we 10 are the project number 959. Palm Man Cypress. For this project, we're replacing 1.9 pipe. This first item is pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act requirements, following their guidelines for conducting an initial study of mitigated declaration. It's our standard procedure for these types of projects. We have found that there are no substantial evidence that the project will have a significant effect on the environment. So that was good. We only received one comment from the Department of Wildlife, basically. Stated in their report. But yeah, this is that first one. Several details on this one, or we could wait for the easy.
Right. Oh, I see we have Yancey Cashel from Integral Environmental Services who
Where's he
does
from?
our environmental work.
Integral Environmental Services.
Yeah, the Integral helps prepare all of these environmental plans. Anything else to add?
Okay.
Yeah. We're keeping the sewage in the pipes, so that's a net positive for the environment.
That's the plan.
And the construction of it, of that replacement work.
Since it's mostly replacement of existing infrastructure.
Mhm.
So it tends to be a streamlined process, but there is a lot of documentation goes into it. We provide a link in the board packet because it's a 300 page document. So it's available for review and for the public, and there was a 30-day public comment period, and so it does go. These notices go to the residents in the affected area, and Phil fields a lot of phone calls from people interested in the project, and it's helpful actually with our outreach and getting folks in the neighborhood on board. By this process actually gives them the heads up that something's coming, and so it's proven to be helpful, I think, in that way.
It's a full set of our plan construction, so interested homeowners are able to get on that. They can frequently meet our plans and have good questions.
Wow. Great. All part of the process. Board members, any questions or comments on this?
This is cut and dried.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I would move to adopt resolution number 25-1669, adopting a mitigated negative declaration for the Palm Man Cypress Gravity Sewer Project Improvements, project number 959.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We used to need a roll call for resolutions. Is that not true anymore?
No, never since the pandemic.
Okay.
Because it was on Zoom.
Yeah, but I think even before, anyway,
Yeah, we used
Yeah,
to.
the standard rule is that roll call is needed for teleconference.
only? Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks very much. Next item on this item. Item number 9, consideration of awarding and authorizing general manager upon review and approval of council to execute construction contract for the Palm Man Cypress Gravity Sewer Improvements Project with Glossage Engineering.
Yes, and Phil will take over. I'll just say that this project, as you've been reminded several times the last few months, we've really shown how nimble we can be in our capital program to respond to changing conditions, working with other local governments. This is a significant paving project the county is undertaking, and we saw the writing on the wall and got a design together, did the environmental review process, went out to bid and got competitive bids, and are positioned to be successful to get the sewer project in. It's important for capacity issues in the Laurel Grove sewer shed. So just really want hats off to Phil's efforts and working cooperatively with the county. And we're positioned to be successful this summer to get this done. Thanks.
Yeah, project 959, rehabilitating 1.9 miles of gravity sewer pipe in the neighborhoods at the Laurel Grove.
Hey, Phil, a little louder, please.
on,
I don't think that mic's on.
Mike.
Hello. All right. Thank you. That sounds better. So yes, project 959, we are rehabilitating 1.9 miles of gravity sewer pipe in the neighborhood up above Laurel Grove and Kentfield on Palm, Man, Cypress, and Hill roads in neighborhood there. This area, these pipes were previously identified through our flow monitoring study, where we identified a capacity issue actually downstream on Laurel Grove in pipe that we had previously recently just replaced. So the approach, this work was, these pipes were scheduled for I believe it was the fiscal year 28-29 project was where I had planned them out to be to address upstream I&I issues. The whole neighborhood has multiple drainages that run near where our sewer mains are. And so the obvious link between that and inflow and infiltration into our pipes was there. So we identified this project area last fall. I received an updated paving list from the county where they identified the methods of replacement for some of these streets to be what is typically called full depth restoration, where they will be doing a very deep grind up to 10, 12 inches sometimes, and to replace the subgrade of a road. And then they would lay down a cementitious road base with asphalt on top of that. For a number of reasons, we want to replace our sewer main before that work is done. Namely that we don't want to have to come back and cut through that material, but also the construction that's associated with that is going to receive a lot of notice and from the neighborhood, and we'd like to be we'd like to be the first ones in and not the last ones out of there. So we're striking while the opportunities ripe. The road has not been worked on yet, so we put together this project. West Valley prepared the construction drawings on a very quick time schedule, and we were able to put it out to bid. We had a relatively short bid period for the project. It was just over 2 weeks. And we still received 5 bids, which was a very good distribution of those bid amounts as well. The low bidder for the project was Glossage Engineering with their low bid of $3,544,115, which was almost 25% below the engineer's estimate. They ranged up to around the engineer's estimate and then a little bit over with Precision Engineering came in a bit higher at 15% over the engineer's estimate. And yeah, so then Glossage is the apparent low bidder. We verified that their bid was responsive and the contractor is responsible. They're the current contractor on the project 958, which is the 24-25 fiscal year gravity sewer improvements project. Part of that project is in directly adjacent areas. So this is an easy way for them to transition between those areas of work and keep the mobilization time as well as cost down. So I think that that's, reflected in a low bid from them. And yeah.
Can I ask a question that's a little bit not exactly on target? Have you had an opportunity to meet the new Public Works Director at Fairfax?
I have only over email.
Okay. We should take her to lunch and talk to her about, coordinating roads and such.
I have a lot of things to discuss. I didn't want to, it was like it was like day one that we got introduced via email. And I was like, we'll wait a few minutes before before I start asking questions.
Good.
Yeah.
I have a question. You're doing a lot of pipe bursting.
Yes.
Cool. Is this when you can offer laterals when you do pipe bursting?
So the lower laterals get replaced, and then it's usually a very good opportunity for homeowners to request an inspection and a quotation from the contractor that is performing the capital work. And they're usually, I would say almost always able to realize a pretty large cost savings, because in a pipe bursting operation, you need to dig 2 holes and pull pipe through it. And we've already dug one of those 2 holes, which is the most labor intensive part of the work. So I do as much outreach as we can. The contractor sends notifications. In that notification, they say, if you I forget exactly how they say it, but if you want to have your lateral replaced, get in touch with me. We'll be looking at your pipes. Just let me know, and they can TV it while they're in there.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
it's been an uneven, over the years, there have been periods where we had a lot of people taking advantage of upper lateral replacements. And when we articulate the benefits there, you get a certificate of compliance that's worth 20 years. So if you ever do remodel or sale, you don't have to come back. And so we give that pitch. But isn't it true, Phil, lately we've had maybe less folks taking this up on the offer?
Kind of
it
depends. It varies from area to like street to street almost.
Street to street, yeah.
Yeah, it
might have to do with demographics and median household income.
Yeah, and just how I feel like laterals will be worse in a certain area. Usually the biggest inspiration for people is when they know they have sewer backups, frequent sewer backups.
Right.
And then they're very much aware of their utility and responsibilities. Whereas, a lot of other places where if it's the topography or the age of the houses or pipes or laterals in particular, I think that plays into people's interest. But definitely in the older neighborhoods, I do see more interest in laterals getting replaced. But yeah.
Hey, Phil, do you know how much would it cost if somebody, you're doing the lower lateral and they've just got 50-foot upper lateral? About what would it cost to do
Isn't that
that?
you?
15,000 probably.
I mean,
15.5.
that a 15,000 would be for a very long upper lateral.
Yeah.
I would say a range of prices, anywhere from, I mean, most lower, I mean, upper laterals that we have in our district are like, what is the front lawn distance from that to the back of right of way is typically around 20 feet, I would say. Sometimes, usually a bit more than that, but a lot of the areas we've been working it's very small. So those, I would say it ranges. I'll give you a range of prices, anywhere from around $4,000 or $5,000 up to 15, 20. I mean, there are some people with upper laterals in our district that unfortunately are saddled with, a 400-foot long lateral.
We just had to increase the lateral grant program.
Right. Yeah. Great. Exactly.
I was just wondering on a standard. And then we're replacing 4 and 6 inch pipe, and we never replace it with less than 8 inch. Is that true? Except for the laterals, but
laterals are 4 inch. Typically, sometimes we put in a 6 inch lower lateral for multi-unit.
But I mean the pipe, like all these, we would never put in
the mains.
Yeah.
The minimum size that we'll put in is a 6 inch. There are existing 6 inch mains, and in certain areas, pipe bursting, it's advantageous to go with a smaller diameter pipe where it maybe is shallow or close to utilities that are sensitive, or landscaping improvements, various things to consider where you don't want to upsize the pipe, because if you upsize, it exerts a much greater force on the soil around it. So in select instances where we know that we don't have a large flow, not a lot of upstream connections, and there's a reason to do it, and if we were able to see that there is a lot of slope to the main, then we will sometimes allow the contractor to switch to a 6 inch pipe rather than an 8 inch.
Yeah, they tend to be up at the ends. I think of the sewer system like a branch in a tree, and so the twigs of that tree can be 6 inch and still carry the flow, But when we're down further into the branches of the tree, we'll always use 8. Yeah. And 8 is the default.
Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment that, after being on this board for like 12 years, and our constituents don't necessarily know who we are or exactly what we do. The other day I was sitting over at Bon Air, and Dr. Zimmerman, retired anesthesiologist from Kaiser, came over to me and said, whatever you do, never hire anybody other than Glossage to do any of your work, because they are so fantastic and they're so fast and they treat the neighbors so good. And he said that during the other project, which I think is at 958, which is where Dr. Zimmerman's house was, he said Luis was going around and talking to all the neighbors and making sure that everything was going right. And if there was anything that they could do, like laterals or things like that, doing it at a very reduced rate because they were in there already, and thrilled with them, and couldn't go far enough saying good things about Glossage. So
Share the sentiment.
Well, maybe he should vote on hiring Glossage.
That's great. And they happen to be the low bidder. So any other, thank you, Phil. Any other comments or questions from board or
No.
staff? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Board and authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute the construction contract for the Palm Man Cypress Gravity Sewer Improvement Project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Glossage Engineering Inc., in an amount not to exceed $3,454,115.
What's that? 3 million what?
5-4.
$3,544,115.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, item number 10, consideration of authorizing the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute a consultant services agreement with Zune Engineering for construction management services for the same project in an amount not to exceed $346,552.50.
Yes, and this is, thank you, President Zilla. This is also just like Glossage is the same contractor on the 24-25 gravity sewer improvements project. Zune Engineering is the same construction manager as the 24-25 gravity improvement project. And so there's synergies to be realized by choosing to hire them. So with that, Phil, do you want to introduce the item?
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, so the item 10 here is for consultant services agreement with Zune Engineering. We're joined tonight by Saeed with Zune, and they're the construction manager for the current project that we're working on with Glossage, the fiscal year 24-25 gravity. And things have been going very well. Communication between the district and the contractor and the construction manager has been going great. They've been doing a fantastic job of keeping the district updated as far as work and progress, and it's been working very well. There's, as Steve mentioned, further synergies or advantages gained that Glossage, the contractor for that project, as well is the apparent low bidder, and we're awarding that contract to them. So naturally, keeping the same team together for the project offers a lot of advantages, especially in terms of speed and ease of use for the district. The construction meeting can just transition, seamlessly into a discussion about the upcoming work on Palm, Man, and Cypress and Hill out there in Kentfield. And Zune's price for their proposal, 7.3 of the engineer's estimate and 9.8 of the actual lowest bid is very reasonable. And with that, Saeed, do you have anything to add?
No, obviously, we're ready to hit the ground running based on the relationships that we already have with the contractor and the district. This is definitely a fast track project and we're ready for it.
Thank you. That's great. Board members, any questions,
If
comments?
he's been working with us with the Glossage on the last one, let's just keep them going.
Roll over
If
the
it's not
hill.
broken, don't fix it.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
I would authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute a consultant services agreement with Zune Engineering Incorporated for construction management services for the Palm, Man, Cypress Gravity Sewer Improvement Project, which is project number 959, in an amount not to exceed $346,552.50.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Item number 11, conduct public hearing in compliance with Assembly Bill 2561 and receive report regarding district vacancies and recruitment efforts. So now I switch over to my script, correct? Thank you. I already said that part. I will now open the public hearing on this item. Felicia, could you please give us a little background?
Yes, thank you, President Silla and members of the board. This item is being presented in accordance with AB 2561, which mandates public agencies conduct a noticed public hearing each fiscal year prior to budget adoption to present information on the status of job vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts. Staff will present the information to comply with new legislation and provide transparency related to these considerations. The public will be given an opportunity to speak and provide their testimony and comments during the comment period of this hearing. And then I'd like to turn it over to Christina Winnicky, who prepared the report for the Ross Valley Sanitary District status. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. To provide a little bit more background on AB 2561, it went into effect this year. And as Felicia mentioned, it was created to have more transparency around vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts in the public sector. In accordance with AB 2561, the district calculated its vacancy rate for each unit of employees that we have, and that's reported in the staff report, and I'll just review that now. As of June 1st, 2025, there was a 9% vacancy rate in the AFSCME bargaining unit and a 13% vacancy rate in the unrepresented group. Between June 1 and today, which is the 18th, the vacancy rate for the AFSCME unit is 0 because we filled the remaining 2 positions. One of the employees will start next week, and the last employee will start in mid-July. One of the represented positions is almost filled. We're so close, and recruitment for the other position is scheduled to begin in the next fiscal year. As far as recruitments, so AB 2561 has a few different requirements. You need to report on the vacancies, you need to report on retention efforts and recruitment efforts, and let the public know if there's any issues that you're having in those departments. So as far as recruitments go for the district, we've had very successful recruitments this last year with great candidate pools. Some fun facts are that we've had 6 recruitments between June 1, 2024 and June 1, 2025, with 165 total candidates, 58 interviews conducted, and 10 placements. And as far as retention goes, the district hasn't experienced an issue with retention over the last year. Separations have been due mostly to retirement and relocations. We offer competitive salary and benefits compared to our neighboring districts, as well as employee engagement opportunities and a welcome and productive working atmosphere, if I don't say so myself. And
The RVSD way.
the RVSD way. The final component of this legislation is that we let the union know, any bargaining units know that we will be doing this presentation, the timeline for it, and provide any information to them regarding these efforts. We did that in compliance with this effort. We also posted it in the Marin IJ 10 days before the meeting. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Any member of the public interested in commenting is invited to comment. Are there any public online? No. Okay. I guess any board members want to say anything about this? No.
If we have a vacancy in a representative position, does the union recommend people to us? Because, construction, that's what they would do. They would send out somebody from the hall.
We
I guess they would-
definitely, our recruitment efforts include notice to, our internal staff and the represented staff, who then pass it along, to people that they know. I know that I'm aware, and I think from Christina actually, that some unions actually do publish vacancies and send that out to their bargaining members. I'm not sure if the union that's represented here at Ross Valley Sanitary District does that, but we would encourage them to give us that additional marketing tool if they are interested in doing that.
So since we had a public hearing, but you're saying the numbers are no longer valid because there's no.
They're better. They're better than they were at the time of publication of the staff report.
Fabulous. Okay. Very good.
Thank you. I now hereby close the public hearing. Thanks for helping us comply with the state law, which I think is mostly intended to address when public entities are letting vacancies just carry on and carry on and carry on as a way of saving rescuing budgets that are in trouble. Our budget isn't in trouble. We don't have vacancies that we're just letting ride. So we're caught up in a little bit of a bureaucratic unnecessity, but we're going to do it anyway. Thank you. All right, item number 12, consideration of adopting resolution number 251670 to adopt the Ross Valley Sanitary District fiscal year 2025-2026 final budget. Steve, Felicia.
Yeah, as you know, we our regular protocol is to issue a draft budget in May of each year and give the board a chance to see where the numbers are, and then we hear you and any comments you have or additions that you'd like to see, or modifications, and then we identify a few modifications often in the interim period, and we'll try to be transparent about those in our staff report. So I really want to thank Felicia and Victor for a stellar performance this year. One thing I like to highlight before I hand it over to Victor, right? Oh, you go first. Yeah, please do. Is Victor came up with the budget in brief idea, and
At the very
that's
back.
250 something.
It's the colorful pages.
258, board packet 258 this is a great resource to any person, any constituent, anyone who's interested in the budget, trying to make sense of it. It's just a great summary of the key items. And so I want to thank, and it's really nicely put together, and it was done by Courtney Buell, former RVSD employee who was struck out on her own and started a graphic design business. And we're pleased to work with her for this excellent work. I just want to say those things.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I took any of your script.
I was just going to mention if there's any way to take that budget in brief and put that on the front page of our website. I can't imagine our constituents really going through our entire budget and looking around. But if there was, excuse me, a highlighted place that they could go to and just find this, it's really quite magnificent.
It is.
Yeah, good suggestion. We are actually undertaking a redesign of the website right now. So that's something we can consider. Thank you. Okay. And Felicia.
Thank you, Steve. I just like to take this opportunity to thank staff again, as we mentioned it during the draft budget review. This is an effort that many of the Ross Valley Sanitary District staff participate in. Steve and Phil putting together the capital budget, Paul and his team with the operations budget, and then of course, very much appreciation to Victor for leading the budget process and culminating in this another successful year of a balanced budget for the Ross Valley Sanitary District. Plus, as Steve mentioned, the budget in brief, which is a new document that I think the board, as well as the constituents and staff, can use throughout the year. And I just wanted to say, in addition to Steve's comments, that we plan to print the budget in brief. So similar to Courtney's work on our popular annual financial report, we'll have a printed version of the budget in brief for distribution to the board. So you can look forward to that as soon as we get that back from the
Can you
press.
add the transparency to the recent accomplishments?
Next year, we will. I think the accomplishments in the budget
Were
from the prior year.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So then let's see. The other things that I wanted to mention, again, a successful pay-as-you-go capital funding, and I'm sure Victor will talk a little bit more about that, but I really want to express my appreciation specifically to Director Gaffney for starting that program so many years ago, with that policy goal in mind, and achieving that is really an important milestone for the district, and that we can continue to manage that our capital program on a pay-as-you-go basis. So this is just something that I again want to thank you, Director Gaffney, and the whole board for leading the district into that funding policy for capital. And along the same lines, the policies for funding the district's pension and OPEB liabilities. I wanted to point out that this year, the district has met its goal of funding of the OPEB liabilities, which was a goal that was set in April of 2019. to have it fully funded by 2025, and you have successfully achieved that. So again, congratulations to the board for setting those policy goals and then also for meeting them. And then lastly, the format of the budget this year again will be eligible for the Distinguished Budget Award from GFOA. So we look forward to another year of being eligible and hopefully being awarded that recognition. And with that, I'll turn it over to Victor to give you some highlights on the actual numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening to the board and President Silla. Thanks, Steve and Felicia. You stole most of my thunder. So, I memean, this is a revised budget, and it's substantially the same as what we looked at in May, although there were some changes. So I'll touch on what some of the changes were that we made during the course of the last month. Director Kelly had pointed out that we had a number that looked a little low for board member meetings. And so we bumped that up. That was basically, that number is developed using just an average number of meetings per board member per year. We had it set at 26. We moved that up to 28 and a half. And that's per board member for the entire year.
Yep.
That brings the number up to 44,745.
What was it before?
It was at 40,000.
Okay.
So we also lowered the projection for the current year because we thought that looked a little high as well. We looked back at 2024 and saw that it was right around 43,000 in that year, and we thought that was a good number to go. Okay. While doing that, we noticed that we had had a double count of the board's pay in the overall salary and wages. So we were able to catch that. Thank you very much. We were able to catch that, and we reduced that at the same time we were making that change. The 10-year CIP, the sequencing and costs over the 10 years was revised. The current year, 2026, is not changed, still 12 million, but the out years were revised. And with those changes, we realized a reduced 10-year CIP by $1.2 million. So that was a good change. And then between the changes that we talked about in the operating side and the capital side, our 5-year projections then were improved by $880,000 over the 5 years. So that was a positive change as well. And with those changes also, it made it so that our forecast to begin replenishing the capital improvement reserve will start in 2030 rather than 2031. And then lastly, we added the note that Director Gaffney had requested on the 5-year forecast, discussing the possible future sale of the real property and the effect that may have on our district reserves. The likely effect being that the board projected the board reserves, targeted reserves, would be replenished much sooner than 2031. Overall, the budget, the same as in May, is nets to a $2.1 million drawdown of fund balance, and that is intended to be used for the capital improvement program for a capital investment. So without getting into all the details of the numbers, that's the general overview of the budget. And I'm happy to take any questions if there's any.
Thank you, Victor. I think you also changed the size of some of these tables, right?
Yes, I did.
Thank you for doing that. I couldn't figure out which ones they were, but I didn't struggle to read any of the numbers this time around when I looked through it again. Board members, any comments on the revised budget?
Well, I have a comment. One of the real advantages of a 10-year CIP projection is that, we get ahead of it, and then every single one of them that I've been involved with changes. But if you've got a 10-year projection, just like we did with Palm and Cypress, some project comes very important, and then you look over your 10-year CIP and go, well, we can drop this one back a year, and that one was scheduled 3 years ahead, but we'll flip that. It really gives you a lot of advantages, especially if you're planning to spend that amount of money if you
Mhm.
got the reserve. So I think our budget system and finances are in really nice shape.
Yeah, they are.
Provide a lot of flexibility. And this is a terrific budget document, by the way.
I love the budget in brief, but that's because I'm not a finance person. All right, so no more comments or questions?
Just
Go ahead.
quickly,
Mhm.
it's the best. I mean, I've been here since 2010.
A little louder, Pam.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. I've been here since 2010, and this is just fabulous. It's just clear. You've got pictures, you've got colors, but the way you present, it's easy to understand. And that's really critical, especially for the public. Thank you.
We always want to hear that when you, that's why I asked to do it louder, because it's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was just a real quick note. The goal of doing pay as you go, that we really embraced as staff and the board and under the board guidance. It was facilitated a bit by that IAMP update we did in 2021, because we dug down into risk about, what is our system risk, asset by asset. And we learned that it's low. It's a low and only some little moderate risk items that we've already addressed at this point. It was really good information, and a lot of good work had preceded that, where the high risk assets were really addressed. So it's the IMP process set us up for success and knowing we were managing risk and could afford a program. And that was a detail, HDR did the report, and they figured out that actually over 5 years, we only needed $26 million worth of work, it comes out to about $5 million a year. So as far as addressing really risky assets, isn't that interesting? So, the IMP really set us up to, it gave us insight into the true risks of our system and empowered us, to develop a pay-as-you-go program and not go into a lot of debt to do a lot of, shotgun, pipe replacement. So it's a good story.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Victor. Thanks, Felicia. Thanks, everyone. That's great. Oh, I guess I need a motion, right?
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we adopt Resolution 25-1670, adopting the Ross Valley Sanitary District's fiscal year 25-26 final budget.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Hi.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Victor.
Victor. Steve, I just want to say, yeah, the IAMP has been doing that since 2012,
Yeah.
right? Because I remember Greg saying to me, if we fix like 95% of our spills come from 5% of our system. And I said, great, go fix that first. That was like Vivian
Yeah.
West?
Vivian Housen.
Vivian Housen. Yeah. So I hadn't thought about how it was related to the financing of it, but yeah, that's great. All right. Item number 13, consideration of adopting the fiscal year 25-26 business plan. Steve or Felicia.
Well, thank you. And thanks to the members of the business plan committee with meeting with us, Christina and I, it was back in May, right? It was May 30th.
Right, May 30th.
May 30th. And we had a couple hours together, and there's a lot of detail to the business plan. As we state in the staff report, this is an annual plan to implement the board's strategic plan that you originally adopted in 2016. And the nature of the business plan is to complete items, knock them off the list, take note of those things that you committed to that you still need to work on, and then take the opportunity to add new items based on initiatives that we need to undertake that we learn about as we work. So there's some flexibility to the business plan, but it's rooted in the principles of the strategic plan around effective utility management. So it's a pretty sound structure that touches all aspects of how we need to strategically think in terms of customer service, stakeholder understanding and support over here, and then employee leadership and development, the financial viability of the organization, the stability of the infrastructure we manage, and optimizing operations. And then finally, water resources and community sustainability, protecting the environment and being mindful of water resources and energy resources, et cetera. So within that structure, we're able to celebrate some things that we got done, in terms of the first list in the staff report, those items that have completed and proposed to be removed. And then we have a second list, which is objectives that we have not yet completed, but otherwise ongoing and proposed to be continued. And then we have, by the fourth page of the staff report, objectives that are proposed to be added. And there's a lot of detail here. There's 20, 30 odd different tasks and objectives we could talk about. What I did differently this year was added a new section because it's become apparent to me that we do initiatives here over the last few years, and then we decide to keep doing them. So they don't drop off the list, but we've completed sort of the objective of getting a program underway. And so I have a new section called ongoing and as needed objectives. Mm-hmm. And an example of that right at the top of the list is the business breakfast, which you got an update on today. We're not going to stop doing that. And yeah, it doesn't mean it's incomplete. It's just something we're ongoing. And so I thought it might be helpful to you as board members and the public to see what items in our strategic and business plan continue to be implemented as initiatives. And actually, we didn't talk about it today, but our sewer system management plan that you adopted, thank you. That includes some of these initiatives that's in this list, in terms of our code enforcement initiative, lateral enforcement, and the easement initiative, communicating with our ratepayers, that where we have our easements on their private property, having a good relationship there, but also making it safe for our staff to effectively maintain the system out in the hillsides and around Poison Oak and things like that. So at any rate, that's sort of where things have evolved. And I think there's something in here for all the board members in terms of whether you're interested in the finances or in the capital program and et cetera, or our RVSD way culture initiative is in here. And so there's many flavors. But one of the things I want to point out in all this detail, if you on the new things to add under enterprise resiliency is to update the strategic plan, because you may have noticed it was in 2016 that you adopted a strategic plan. And so staff is recommending to the board that we consider updating the strategic plan at the 10-year anniversary. So to do that early next year. And we're looking into potential consultants to help us out with that.
Did the strategic plan have a timeline? Remind me.
Yeah, it's on the website and you can see it in there. It was really a short term.
Okay.
The authors of the strategic plan said this is just a placeholder. But when I got here in 2018,
okay,
and I saw a structure that was very useful and didn't need to necessarily be updated. I said, well, we'll just continue to use this framework of effective utility management on an annual basis.
That was a Greg thing, I remember. Yeah.
And there wasn't a need to necessarily revisit that just in 2 years, like the document said. So we let it ride, as they say, and do an annual process, which I hope you feel has been transparent and effective, a way of keeping track of all of our initiatives and that sort of thing, and our commitments, and the core program stuff, and then the things that we think will create efficiencies and innovation. So that's my introduction. I did note that Tom came up with a couple of good ideas to add. So if you adopt this business plan for the coming fiscal year, I would suggest we add an objective to close out the Canyon Road Assessment District and add an objective to explore, the
AI.
use of our AI and large language models to create efficiency in administration and operations.
Those sound like great amendments.
You might also want to add, because we're doing it, is the monument and the bike station. We're planning on doing it, but it's not in the business plan.
Yep. Sounds good.
Throw it in there.
Sounds good.
All right, any questions or comments on this?
We're there, so.
Yeah, you and Pam were there. Looks great. Thank you for all the work.
I have a question about the update on the strategic plan. Do you think we'll do like we did before with if you'll hire somebody or?
I think so. And we, it's interesting. I had the privilege of, I guess I could have reported this out in my general manager report. I served as a judge. Well, it just happened yesterday, but with the CASA on organizational excellence. Since we've been a past recipient of the Organizational Excellence Award, I was asked to be a judge on this year's applicants. And the one that got runner up did a very thorough strategic plan. The reason why they didn't win is because they just did the plan. They didn't implement the plan yet. You know, the winner was the one who implemented their plan. But the strategic plan, I was impressed, but it was pretty dense, you know. But one of the key features was the involvement of everyone in the organization. You know, they really went to great pains to get input from every person. That would be the board members but also staff. Larger organization than us. But it was interesting to see just the characteristics that are in common with what we do. You know, I certainly saw that, but I also saw some things that, you know, I could see having outside help, you know, help us organize and then get the input that's meaningful from everyone that's in this organization. And then the organizations we work with. You know, so at any rate, yes, I think we should have someone help us organize that.
All right, any other comments?
Yeah, I had a question. What's this participate and provide leadership in the newly formed Association of Marin Collection Systems?
Yeah, and I reported last month that in May, Sanitary District 2 in Corte Madera, staff project manager, soon to be assistant district manager, maybe deputy, right, is Fernanda Stefanik. She suggested, reached out to engineers and managers of the different sanitary district collection systems and a couple of treatment plants, including CMSA, to meet and discuss ways to harmonize our systems. You know, so she and we chimed in real quick saying that this is a great idea. And so they had a meeting on May 19th at the town hall, and it was well attended. As you know, there's 14 different sanitary entities, sewer departments, et cetera, in eastern Marin County. And I'd say the majority did attend this meeting, and there's an interest in continuing to meet. And so I've mentioned earlier today, we're hosting the next meeting on September 9th. And there's something to be gained here. There's 3 topic areas that it seems like we can make some progress on. I mentioned the standards and consistency between the agencies, and there's an interest in doing that for customer service. And then there's also the issue of mutual aid, and maybe making that a little more user friendly than it is now. It exists and it's used, but there are probably innovations that we can use modern technology to have it be more user friendly during emergencies. Those are the 2 hot topics that we discussed. And there are other areas that we could coordinate on. So we got together. It was a fruitful discussion. We're going to get together a second time. And that's what this commitment in the business plan is about.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're hosting the next one.
Great. All right, any other comments? Do I have a motion? Is there,
I
is there a
move that
motion?
we adopt the fiscal year 2025-26 business plan.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yes, with those additions we discussed,
With the,
Yeah.
yes, amendments discussed.
the 3 items. Yep. Very good.
Item number 14, consideration of adopting resolution 25-1671, approving the salary and benefit schedule for unrepresented employees of the district and approving the complete salary schedule for fiscal year 25-26.
Good. Maybe could I have Felicia introduce this item, please? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, President Silla and members of the board. As the board's familiar with, annually, we present salary and benefits resolution for the unrepresented staff for your consideration and adoption. This year's resolution, which was presented to the HR committee in April and to the finance committee just yesterday at their June meeting, includes a few recommended changes from last year, which are enumerated in the staff report. The first of which is an adjustment to the cost of living of 5%. And, oh, excuse me. Siri would like to have me repeat that. Yeah, she didn't quite hear. So the COLA that's being recommended for the unrepresented is in alignment with the COLA that was bargained for the represented group for this year. And so that is that item. And the next item is an inclusion of the district observed holidays, change to the holiday schedule that was negotiated with the represented group was to
Juneteenth.
add Juneteenth and to eliminate the New Year's Eve holiday. There was a half-day holiday of New Year's Eve that's been rolled into a Christmas Eve holiday, such that Christmas Eve, the 24th of Christmas, is a full-day holiday. So there's a net increase of 4 hours for district holidays that was negotiated again with the represented group, and which is being proposed to be the same for the unrepresented
What
group.
happens when Christmas is on the 20th, on a Sunday?
It gets observed on the Monday, and that's
Or wouldn't you
outlined
do
in the-
Monday and Tuesday? Because you've got Christmas Eve being Saturday.
Christmas Eve would then be observed on the Friday.
Oh,
Because if it's a Saturday holiday, it's observed on the Friday, and if it's a Sunday holiday, it's observed on a Monday. So,
right. That works.
yep. And there's some new language about vacation for prior public service credit, that needs to be reported by new employees within 30 days of hire. A technology stipend, reimbursement schedule adjustment. And then lastly, a change to an existing program that the district has had since prior to my tenure here, for a computer loan program, which basically allowed employees to borrow up to $3,000 and pay back the district over a period of up to 52 pay periods, 2 years. For purchases related to technology. And I guess, I mean, I've been here since 2016. So, prior to that time period when this program was initiated, probably in an effort to promote the use of technology within our staff, right? Get them familiar with, email and, whatever other, computer use that, we were trying to get our staff to come into the digital age, right? Now, back in the day when they were doing timesheets on paper and work orders on paper, and now, of course, we do all of that stuff electronically, and everyone here is pretty well adept at using computers, and new hires are adept at using computers. This is a change in the program, which would, instead of limiting that $3,000 loan to just technology purchases, it would allow an employee to have discretion over that use of funds. So same general idea, maximum loan amount of $3,000, a fixed interest rate, no, actually it was treasury rate plus 0.5%. And that's taken from their paychecks after they sign an agreement. So that's also included in the draft resolution for your consideration tonight. And with that, I'll be available to answer any questions.
All of this is just squaring up the unrepresented employees with the represented employees. correct?
All of it actually, but with the exception of the cash loan program, that's a new to the unrepresented and not currently offered to the represented. The represented, this is a new concept that came from between the time of the MOU negotiation conclusion, which was in December of last year, and now.
Is there a cap on that?
A cap of $3,000.
So that's it?
Yes.
Okay, and can they do that every year?
There's a maximum of one loan for at a time.
Okay, thanks.
Any
Great question.
questions or comments by the board members about
No.
this item? Okay, great. We reviewed
Do we
this.
have people who are doing the cash loan?
No, not currently because we don't currently have it available, but we do have people who are taking
interested.
advantage of the computer loan program. And the way this came up is the computer loan program requests started expanding and expanding and expanding to, so first it was, I need a laptop and then I need a monitor and now I need a sit-stand desk, or I need so there were sort of workstations at home, workstations requests for loans that would help them purchase and, repay back to the district additional items of interest. And that's how this idea was born. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion if there are no more questions.
We adopt resolution number 25-1671, approving the salary benefit schedule for unrepresented employees of the district and approving the complete salary schedule fiscal year 2025/26.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. I don't always hear everybody.
Slow.
Michael, you didn't have your mic on when you were saying the things before. by the way.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now we're at item number 15, consideration of electing board officers, representatives, and committee members for fiscal year 25/26. Yeah, do we need any staff input on this, or are we just, okay.
I want to thank Board Clerk Christina Winnicky for putting together the staff report. I think it lays out a nice summary of things for the board to consider. And
Great, thanks
we're
very
here to
much.
help with any clarifications.
Okay.
Can I make one comment?
Please.
Can you decide if you will nominate everyone and then do one vote or vote each time?
I'd like to do one vote for all non-contested offices. If there's if more than two people are running, then we have a separate vote for that.
Great. Let's go through and do some nominations. And if, yes, we'll see what, that's a good idea, I believe. All right. Do I have any nominations for president?
Doug Kelly.
Doug Kelly.
Okay, thank
do
you.
that.
So again, we're going to go through and nominate everybody and then see if there's anybody contested, but we'll vote on all the uncontested nominations. Do I have a nomination? Any other nominations for president? No. Do I have a nomination for secretary?
I'm confused about how we did the secretary. I thought the secretary generally was in row to become not at all.
No.
Okay, so-
I nominate Pamela. Do you want to do it, Pamela?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right.
I'll second that.
I'll third
Well,
it.
we're going to vote on them individually.
Yeah.
Second and vote.
We'll take seconds on the slate. All right. Once we get it all sorted out, I think that's appropriate. Okay. For treasurer, who would like to serve as treasurer, or who nominates somebody for treasurer? I
Nominate Tom.
I nominate Tom because.
Oh, yeah, finance
I
guy.
second Tom.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right, now we're over to CMSA commissioners. Do I have any nominations for the CMSA
I
commissioners?
nominate Michael.
Okay,
I nominate Tom.
okay. And the rest of us will be willing and able to serve as alternates?
Yep.
Yes.
So requested. Okay, excellent. So then that's. I'm happy to read these out afterwards if it's, no, you got it? Okay, never mind. She's on it. Okay. So now CSRMA board member, Michael Borstein. Michael, do you,
Sure.
okay, do you like doing that?
Yeah.
Does any, okay, great. Pam, are you willing to serve as the alternate for that as well? That meets at the conference, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. North Bay Watershed Association board
Leave
member.
that as it is.
Is that all right? Okay,
Absolutely.
Pam, you're willing to serve on that again, and Michael, you're willing to be the alternate again?
If needed.
Excellent. All right, Standing Finance Committee, yes, I would
Tom.
say Tom should stay on it, and
Doug.
then Doug, because
And
he'll
then
be
the
served.
president, you know.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Standing HR Committee.
Need to change.
Okay, Michael, are you
um,
willing to serve on that? Okay.
Totally fine. It's been like
Excellent.
once
Michael
a
and
year.
Mary, yeah, good.
Standing Education and Outreach Committee, Pam and Doug, are you all willing to carry that forward?
Yep.
Excellent. As with the Annual Business Plan Committee?
Yep.
Excellent, thank you.
I don't think we need the ad hoc kerner anymore,
I don't think we need it anymore.
Don't.
I
but
was
the
gonna
ad hoc
recommend we have
interpretive
an
print
ad
sign,
hoc
we still do.
Facilities Committee
What's
and
that?
change the name, make it the Ad hoc Facilities Committee.
Does it, do
Hmm,
we have a need?
I don't think
Sometimes
so.
They do, we don't get paid.
You could put facilities in there, just
Does staff recommend maintaining an ad hoc
Fire, I
facility
think.
committees at the risk of placing staff at odds with Director Gaffney?
No, if you don't want to do it, it's fine.
It's escaping me. I'm trying to come up with an example.
Didn't we have to approve the generator?
You had to approve the what?
The
The
generator.
generator for the.
Um,
No,
but
let's
that's
get
it.
rid of that
That's
committee.
it.
then.
Yeah, that's
All
in the
right.
ground. Okay, yes, there is this matter coming up this year. It involves a 10.7 acre parcel
Okay.
in Larkspur.
Okay.
Well, let's address that when that comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We can always create an ad hoc committee. We do not need to establish one once a year. Excellent. And ad hoc interpretive sign
It should
committee.
stay the same. You've
That's
been
pretty
working on
much
it.
all.
Change it.
I agree, but it may be on hiatus given the,
We do need to talk schedule. though.
okay.
Mary,
Um,
you didn't get very many offices. did
I
you?
don't care.
Oh.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Believe me, I'm looking forward to stepping down from my position. I look forward to being an active participant in all meetings. Okay, so to review,
I
or
would, I
no,
would,
perhaps we don't need to review.
No, we
I
don't.
would move those
Any questions? Christina, you've got it?
incomplete, in whole.
Okay,
No, I second.
There we
okay.
go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
just as a matter of note, because we mentioned the Kerner property. This last week, Elm got permission from the city. They haven't yet even begun to do the remodel because they have to still raise probably about $5 million to do what they think they want to do, but they got permission from the city to start using the facility for the kids over
Oh,
there and giving lessons and storing the instruments and having rehearsals over there. So if you ever want, just call up Jane and she'd be happy to run you over and show you the old facility.
oh, that's heartwarming. Thank you. Okay, let's wrap this show up with Polly. I can't really call you that.
It's quite all right. Good
Yeah.
evening, President Sill and board members, council and staff. Thank you for your time tonight. I know we've gone over a lot this evening, so I'll try not to dig too deep in, but hopefully you've had some time to read through the metrics report. And I wanted to start off with, really supporting our competency-based training and making sure we're reporting out on the SOPs that we're working on. Excuse me. And last month, we recently updated the SOP for the CBO3, the large VATCON unit, because we're really utilizing a lot more for hydro excavation and found a couple little tips and tricks to update the SOP, as well as enhance guidance on overall operation and controls. The hydro excavation, we're utilizing that machine to dig a lot more. It's a lot safer than backhoes in the street. We don't risk ripping out wires or ripping out gas lines or whatnot. So it's been a really great tool for staff, and they're really going to town with it. So really appreciate your approval for that equipment last year. And it's doing really well. The pump crew, during preventative maintenance of pump station 21, which is up here off of Highway 101 at the end of Corte Placida. It's behind the sound wall up there off the freeway. Staff noticed a lot of long run time, so we pulled the pump, started inspecting it. Come to find out, there was a small child's toy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Cars, but there was a little mater in the pump. Slowing the flow. So it affects efficiency on the pump, pumping capacity, and all that good stuff. So it's really important that staff are looking at that and making sure that the pumps are running in equal times and all that good stuff, good flows.
Paul, I think you should post notices in nursery schools and kindergartens.
I think you should try to return the mater.
I don't think they want it back.
Okay.
Line maintenance staff, we're getting good weather. Like Steve and Phil were talking about, we're starting to accelerate paving. So we've already had a couple of paving projects go through, and line maintenance staff, after each paving project, we go through, we clean the lines, we inspect the manholes, and thankfully we did. Because off of Monte Vista Avenue in Larkspur, we found 2 loose bricks just laying in the channel in the flow, slowing flow down. It was about ready to back up. So that can happen with the large equipment going around the old brick manholes. They're digging and scraping, so they'll vibrate out and fall out. So it's a really important part of the paving season is to make sure we're right there when they're done, to inspect, make sure all our manholes are still there, and make sure there's not a lot of debris in the system. Again, the repair crew, summertime, so a lot more work. They performed 28 manhole rehabilitations and 27 point repairs. So they're really working hard to make sure we get all the repairs we can in this summer before wet weather comes back around, sealing out I&I, keeping out dirt and debris, and patching holes and whatnot in the system. And then condition assessment crew,
Wait a minute, the 27 point repairs is great for a month. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
They really got a good system going down now. So it's really good. Trying to make sure we can keep all their supplies in store. I think we went through 3 purchase orders this last year alone in fiberglass and epoxy and stuff. So it's working out really well. Though. And then in May, condition assessment team, as you know, we're always looking for lost nodes. I think we reported out about this a couple months ago. When I first got here, we were around 260 lost manholes or blind T's or nodes. As of today, I was looking at the metrics board. We're down to 89. And condition assessment, we had a couple at 9 Upper Ames in Ross. There was actually 3 lost nodes on one property alone. So we did a lot of due diligence. We took metal detectors up there. We're cameraing, and then we found 3 right off the bat, and we couldn't get any farther. So repair went in and dug in a new double clean out. So now we could scope it, and we ended up finding the last one, the last rod hole, which was uncapped, open in the dirt, just sucking dirt in from the front yard. So really good find. We found 4 manholes in about a week. So really pushing to get that down to a 0.
So wait, what is a lost node?
A lost manhole, a rod hole.
Okay.
Or we also we add in their blind T's, which is an intersection in the pipe where we can't clean one way or the other. Yeah, so it's just a blind T in underground. So we count those, and when we find them, we'll dig them up and install a new manhole. Is there any questions? Anybody on any of the other topics on here?
There was a little noise complaint from pump station 15, and then a fan got turned off, and now the resident is very, very happy because it's a lot more quiet. But imagines that the fan was doing something that it would have to do again?
Yeah, that is a foul odor scrubber. So basically it pulls foul air out of the wet well when staff are in there, the toxic gases and whatnot.
Okay.
So we're able to turn it off when staff aren't working in there. But before we go in, we have to run it for at least a half an hour, 40 minutes. So it does slow us down a little bit by turning it off. But I went out there and inspected it with the pump station crew, and we're going to look into, there's some vibration coming from that fan. I think from maybe some grease buildup. We're going to look at getting a replacement.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is the one we pull out, we'll have it refurbished or repair it. And then that way we'll have a swap. So if there's ever an issue with it, we'll be able to slide one out, slide a new one in, and then be done with it and won't have as much downtime.
Don't put any staff at risk because of that
Of course
residence.
not. We actually have portable fans we utilize. We turn on the big fan if we have to. So I apologize if there is some sound, but we're working on it.
Yeah, it would get louder and quieter and louder and quieter. And I thought that there was something wrong with this. I thought it was a function of the pump station. So I was like,
We were doing testing. We were actually removing pieces of the piping. We were doing airflow tests. We cut a different section out of the pipe to try to divert air this way. So we're out there tinkering a little bit.
okay,
So I'm
great.
sorry
I
for
don't
the
mind at all.
disruption.
Yeah. I thought when I heard noise, it might not be pumping and I might end up with sewage.
I appreciate
Back,
you can
but
call us
yeah.
anytime.
I appreciate that as well.
Anytime.
Maybe Mary should get an SOP on how to run the pump station.
That would have helped in 2005, but then I probably wouldn't be here. Thanks. Board members, any questions or comments?
No, no
for
spills
Paul?
again. But shouldn't be having one in the summer, but just the same.
So
Glad we
we're
didn't.
holding at 8 spills. We have what, a month? Just the end of this month?
Yep.
Is that
We,
how we
we,
do it?
we have a spill this month.
What?
We had a spill this month.
Oh, we had a
So
spill.
we're at 9.
Yeah. Very minor, 24 gallons. So it's a
Okay,
category
but-
4.
But our
fully
spill year
captured.
ends at the end of this month.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that shows that we're still keeping track.
So we can talk about that next month. This month we have no spills.
Yes. I like it.
You got
Right.
it. And it's been a really, yeah, we've been fortunate. Where's the wood? But this calendar year, there's been 2 spills.
Okay.
All right. If nothing else, I pass the baton to Doug and see you all on July 16th.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Everybody.
Thanks.